Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Can we talk with Monique? I am Monique. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell, and that way you'll be notified of all my uploads. So guys, you know this channel is dedicated to assisting people who have come out of or may still be in situations with people who are abusive, and abuse can come from people who have narcissistic personality disorder, people who are sociopaths, or just toxic abusive people in general. And what I do is give information, history about myself, but also information about stories that come up in the headlines where we can learn from these situations, some of the red flags, and if people are getting ready to get into relationships, they can take some of these tips, and hopefully this will help people to not get into situations like that that may be deadly. So I did a video on this gentleman here who unfortunately killed his beautiful bride, Mrs. Karen Smith, God rest her soul, only 3 months after getting married. And so I did a little more digging, and it's just as I thought. There were some red flags. She did find out about some things, and it scared her, and she left. And also there were some telltale signs on his Facebook page. And when I went, his Facebook page, guys, is still open. I'll link the video above. But if you go back to his Facebook page, there were telltale signs that this gentleman was not quite stable, and that he had a very dark side to him. So let's talk about it. I found this article by Caitlin Menza in an article called The Cut: What the San Bernardino Shooter's Facebook Page Reveals About Domestic Violence. So somebody else did some research and I found it. And let's talk about it. So this is Cedric Anderson, and this was Karen Smith. And so let's read this. It's all on Facebook, still live in public for anyone to see. Cedric Anderson's wedding invitation from 2017, a video of his bride and future victim, Karen Smith, walking down the aisle to him as he smiles, photos from their honeymoon, a video from their honeymoon, saying how much they were having fun. Just over 2 months later, he killed her, which is very sad. On Monday, Anderson walked into, and this is back in 2017, North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino, where Karen was a special needs teacher, and opened fire. He killed Smith and an 8-year-old boy and also injured a 9-year-old child. I forgot to mention that in my last video. However, Chief Jared Bargwan has shared that Anderson had a violent history with battery charges and allegations of domestic violence stretching back over 30 years. And guys, this really hit home for me because I looked at this man, and in my other video, you can go back, and I said he looks like somebody that I might have dated. But the funny part was, I know I've seen his face before. I live in Georgia. He lived in Georgia. Yes. I looked at his face and I was like, he looks like somebody that's familiar. I'm telling you, it's really crazy. And so it says here, he had a domestic violence past that stretched back over 30 years. Smith herself had never reported him, but her family revealed that their 72-day marriage, 72 days, guys, went sour quickly. Not only 2 months. I told you there was something within the end of February or the middle of March that she was like, I'm done. And this is her mother, Mrs. Sykes, saying this. We thought he was a fine person, said Irma Sykes, which was Smith's mother, until they were married and he showed the other side of him, that mask slip, which we had never seen before. We were shocked. She continued, he began to pick on my daughter and talk down to her. So see, here we go again with this devaluation stage. She obviously had been dating him for a little bit of time. But once he married her and got what he wanted, he started to devalue her. He began to pick on her, probably to demean her. And remember I told you those pictures of her eyes look so sad. She was in her mind probably saying, this is not right. This doesn't feel right. And that's why we should never deny our intuition and the gut that God gives us. It says, and they had dated for 4 years. But what was strange to me, he had some in 2016, some charges. So obviously, this is my opinion, because we know they have multiple sources of supply. He was dating somebody else while he was seeing her, because in 2016, he had some battery charges with a whole nother different person. So yeah, yes. So they said she dated him for 4 years. And then after about 3 weeks, my husband and I decided, her mother and her father decided, you need to get away from him. Okay. Just 3 weeks of marriage. Okay. In March of 2017, a few weeks before her death, Smith left Anderson, moving in with her children. See, because I didn't know the background, and I said, no, something happened, because I was looking online, and she was killed in April, but she left him in February, and some of those posts he was making, she wasn't even with him anymore. So only after 3 weeks, guys, of marriage. They got married, I think it was it says in mid-March, a few weeks before her death, Smith left. So yes, mid-March. What happened in those 72 days, only 72 days, guys, these people, I'm telling you, he honed in on her, and she moved in with him. He moved in with her. I have something to say about that, because I really, and we'll talk about that another time, but I don't believe if you're getting married, I know things are tough here, but you have to research these people's background, and I'll tell you some more about his background. San Bernardino police investigation is ongoing, but what they've already released, that they found a handwritten note of Anderson's discussing his feelings being disrespected, coupled with Anderson's Facebook page and Smith's family comments, provided a case study of domestic violence and how different it can look from the outside. So us looking from the outside, looking on his Facebook page, everything looked good. But there's one thing, a lot of them, these narcissists, they will talk about disrespect. If you tell them no or don't go along with them, they encounter that as being disrespect. And that was something that I heard all the time. Oh, you're being disrespectful. No, we just don't want to go along anymore. So that's not disrespect. But they did find a note, guys. He literally wrote a handwritten note discussing his feelings about being disrespected. Anderson lavished his wife with praise on social media. And remember, I read that to you. I'll leave the link above. It didn't seem right. What I love about my wife, she makes me really happy. He tells his computer camera in a video from February 27th. He posted photos from date night on March 4th and March 10th. He called her an angel on March 11th and shared a Sade video on March 12th. I'm getting love like this. But according to her children's timeline, that is the week that Smith moved out. And I told y'all that. I said, I bet you she wasn't even with him. She wasn't with him. In that video that he posted where he said, my wife, I can't remember what he said. He said something to the effect of, she just ignores me. That keeps a happy marriage. She had left him. I could tell by his fake smile. She had left him. The effusive praise and charm is a classic manipulation tactic often used by domestic partners. Public health experts in Australia released a guide in 2016 called Charmed and Dangerous, warning women that the charm offensive can be an early red flag for domestic abuse. So if somebody is so charming, I don't know if you don't know Dr. Romani. I watched some of her videos, but she said if anybody comes in her direction that's just so charming, she said look out for them, run away, go in the opposite direction, because somebody putting on so much charm in the beginning, they're deadly. A study out in February posited that narcissism has two phases in a romantic relationship. Admiration, they admire you. He admired her. Then rivalry, with the former trapping the future victim. The admiration traps you. Admiration is characterized by tendency to promote the positivity of oneself's view by seeking social admiration. That's what he did. We've seen domestic abusers who can lay on the charm when they need to. And that's definitely the case that we saw here. It says here, Anderson bragged about his marriage so publicly on social media, it was a tactic that psychologists and sociologists call impression management. He was making an impression and managing what we thought of him. And it says here, a 2006 study of men accused domestic violence found that they all engage in impression management. They want you to have an impression, a thought of them. And it says documented perpetrators of domestic violence tended to score higher on specific measures of aggression despite their attempt to minimize that. So let's go on the rest of it. Let's see. So Anderson's ability to control his own social media image cracked regularly. So he would try to control it, but his dark side would leak out. His dark side would leak out. And I showed you that, the part where he said, let's see. It's the truth of the matter is, this is a quote from his Facebook post. The truth of the matter is when people get fed up, people get killed. That's what he said. And he's posted about guns and different things about that. But the cruel irony is, dangerous thing for a woman experiencing domestic violence. The cruel irony is the most dangerous part of domestic violence is to leave or seek protection. That's what she did. She left. And that's why I told you guys when I left, I had some planning to do. I planned. 3 out of 4 victims of homicide by their partners were killed as they attempted to leave or after they left. 1/3 of homicide victims with a temporary restraining order are murdered within a month of getting that order. If an abused person lives in a house with a gun, their risk of being murdered jumps 500%. So this is why I'm doing this, guys. So we'll hear much more about Cedric Anderson and Karen Smith, but that because her abuser attacked her in the elementary school and claimed another victim. 3 women die every single day at the hands of a partner. Smith is just one very public example. How sad. How sad. So I've dug up some other stuff, and this came from an investigative reporter, and she really gave some information. I have to give my props to her. And her name is Mary Cummins. She's a real estate service. She has a real estate service, and she's an investigative supporter from Los Angeles. So shout out to you, Mary Cummins. I'm going to try to get in contact with her to find out how she gets her information, because this is really deep. Hold on for a second, because it's getting hot in here. I need to open up the door. Hold on 1 minute. It's getting hot in this room. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. I'll be back. Open up the door. It's getting too hot in here. I gotta open up the window. Hold on 1 second, guys. Hallelujah. I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. So, with a little more digging, I found this article by Mary Cummins, who's an investigative reporter, writer, speaker, activist in Los Angeles, California. And this is dated Monday, April 10th, 2017. So this is all used for fair use, for teaching, educating, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to contact her because she seems like she really is, she has dug up some information to try to figure out how she gets her information. So these are information she was able to dig up. I was trying to figure out he was married 2 times before, guys. So let's read this. And it paints a picture of who this person, Cedric Anderson, was. Right? So based on this, on 4/13/2017, we're going to start from the beginning and work our way back. There's a 911 call, but I'm not going to go into that. That was released by the Daily News, the 911 audio. On 4/13/2017, Smith and 2 adult aides were in the classroom during the shooting. So there were two other aides in there. One aide says Cedric was shooting everywhere. Cedric pointed his gun at one aide, but it just clicked as he was out of bullets. So he was just trying to shoot anyone. The aide's students fled as Cedric reloaded the gun. That means he intentionally killed the kids. He probably did that because he knew how horrible that would make Smith feel for the last few minutes of her life. Yes, they want to torture you. That's true. Mary Cummins knows. Shout out to you, Mary Cummins. A friend of Smith stated that Smith said Anderson was acting very strangely before Smith left him. So obviously, Karen spoke to a friend and said that Cedric Anderson was acting very strange before she left him. Sounds like he was having some sort of breakdown. Still, he knew what he was doing when he killed those people. Absolutely. I agree. A man by the name of Lincoln Cooper met Cedric 2 weeks ago in a gas station. In their encounter, Cooper said Anderson told him about his troubled marriage and frustration with his wife's family, who he blamed for their separation. There's always somebody else responsible. They never take responsibility. So he projected everything onto his wife's family. He mentioned about killing. He said, "I wish I could kill them. Not her, but the family," Cooper said. Lord, see? That's why you don't take these, don't take this stuff lightly. The two talked for several minutes before Cooper invited him to his ministry, the Concerned Family, and Anderson met Cooper's wife. He said, "I never did anything to her." They always say that. "I was trying to tell her not to take the side of her family, and then I just touched her on the chest." He hit her. He pushed her. And then so he admitted, this is what led up to this. "And I just touched her on the chest, but I did not do anything." Then she turned around and said, "I choked her." So remember the other police report that I told you about, where the lady said that he had choked her on the bed and put the pillow over her. He choked her. That's exactly what he did. Yep. Let's see. Let's go here. This is This is a news document show abuse allegations against. Let's see if I can get to that. Hold on one second, guys. Let me see if that'll come up. Not sure. Okay, let's go 4/12/2017. Cedric Anderson went to Inglewood High School in 1982. He had a brother, Darrell Anderson. And in 1983, a woman filed a civil suit against his brother and him, but no information is available. So this person, what's her name? Miss Anderson, Miss Mary Cummins, she did some extensive research, and I thank her for that. She went back into his history. He had classmates, his classmate profile shows he is from Los Angeles, California. He went to Inglewood High School. He attended Gwinnett Tech College as an HVAC technician. He lived in Georgia. This is what I'm saying. I tell you, it's 6 degrees of separation. He worked at ABM Engineering Services, and he said he liked music, gospel, that type of thing. TD Jakes or TD Snakes, and the show Managing the Malcolms. It says Cedric Anderson threatened to kill his previous wife, Natalie, who was the mother of his 3 sons. This is from part of the restraining order his previous wife, Natalie, filed against him when he lived in Atlanta. Cedric had a very long history of abuse and threats. This is what she didn't know. And this is why we need to do background checks. Cedric called and said he wanted me to pray for the divorce. I told him no. He said we would all die, me, the kids, and himself. This is what he told his ex-wife, Natalie, is saying. Wrote in January 1997 petition. She petitioned him in 1997 for a domestic violence restraining order in Los Angeles Superior Court. Okay, so that was in Los Angeles. And he was threatening to hurt her and the kids and himself. He had a propensity for this long before. Cedric called and said Natalie said the terrifying threat was made October 15th, 1996. A couple of months later, Cedric called me and said he would pick the kids up from school and I would not get them back. Natalie said in the written filing. Cedric had beat up his aunt and then called me and said that bitch, the police don't have me, but I'm going to bust your ass before this is over. Wow. This man had a propensity for violence, not only toward his family members, but his first wife. He refused to leave and ended up jumping on me and choking me. This choking thing. He did this in front of his sister and said in a follow-up filing, I telephoned the police. They wanted to arrest the respondent, but I did not want the children to see their father hauled away in handcuffs. Ladies, let me stop right here. I understand that feeling. But if you ever get in a situation like this, let them take them away. Natalie, 53, said Anderson talked her into abandoning her restraining order case, but that the verbal abuse continues. So he talked her out of the restraining order, which they will do, and apologize, but they continue. Since then, the respondent has been threatening to kill me. He has told the other ministers and bishops, my mother, his sister, our friends, that he is going to kill me. So he didn't have a problem telling people this. And had Karen found out about this, she would have not married him. And maybe she did find out. Natalie said in her declaration signed August 1997, a few weeks after their divorce was finalized. Jennifer Lindsay, 50, won a 3-year restraining order in 2013. 1345. Now they got married in 2017. So she was dating him for 4 years, Jennifer Lindsay overlapped into that 4-year period. After she claimed Anderson nearly killed her, she said the maintenance worker and Christian minister, fake Christian minister, pounced on her in the pre-dawn hours of May 2013 while raging over her plans to go to a karaoke venue with a female friend. He suddenly pulled the blanket off of me and then grabbed me by my arms. He then put the pillow over my face and held it so I couldn't breathe, she said in the handwriting in Los Angeles. This man was crazy. I fought as hard as I could, kicking with my feet. He still had one of my wrists and continued to push the pillow down into my face, she said. Lindsay finally managed to break free but was severely traumatized. I thought I would die that night, she wrote. A week later, Anderson allegedly attacked her. Again, he attacked her while she was ironing clothes for the Memorial Day dinner with him. Lord. He shoved me with his hands to my throat, pushing me onto the bed. He had a butcher knife in his hand and told me he was sick of me. Those women are glad they got away alive, and the children. Anderson went on to marry Karen Smith in January. So that's what I'm saying. This is in 2000. That was in 2013. He went, In January, her mom confirmed. Shortly after the wedding, Anderson started taunting his new wife with baseless allegations she was fooling around. You know, they will project on what they're doing themselves and threatened to throw her out the window. And then he obviously pushed her. Smith's mother, Irma Sykes, told the News Monday. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing. As soon as they married, he turned on her. The real Cedric came out. Sykes, who was 80 years old, said, and she had to bury her daughter. Lord have mercy. She just left him, and he was angry. He tried to butter her up and say all kinds of nice things to her, said her mom, Irma Sykes, after he cursed her out. So, you know, that love-hate thing. But she wasn't having it. She was like, I'm done. Anyhow, she decided no, she was not going to stay with him, and that is why he killed her. Here are the underlying documents of the case. So this woman here, she did her research, and I'm going to get in contact with her. So this is the case number. Hold on. From 1996, Natalie Anderson and Cedric Anderson. That was the filings. She filed a civil suit on Cedric and his. There was a civil suit for Frederick and his brother. Perhaps the suit was filed and nothing else happened. Somebody filed in 1986 against Cedric and his brother. Then there was 2013, the case with Cedric Anderson, and it was against Lindsay Jennifer. She filed a protection report, and they were filed in 2013. And it was filed by her That was a domestic violence situation. Then we see here another one, a temporary restraining order. There are actually more, but the petitioners did not show up for court. So they were probably too frightened of him, she said. Notice one of them is a restraining order to stay away from his son and his ex-wife. So, I mean, this man just had a history. 4/11/2017, his family, this is after he killed himself and his wife, his family released a statement to the victims and their families. There are no words to express our deepest sympathy for what our son, father, and brother, uncle, cousin, friends have done. Because of this horrible, heinous, disgusting, senseless crime that was committed upon humanity, every life connected will forever be changed. That is true. It was horrible. It was disgusting. To the families connected, my heart is truly heavy. That's a shame. Yeah. So, original. Today, Cedric Anderson that was the newspaper article. He has sons named Jared, Jeremy, Jacob, Charles Anderson from his previous wives. They were born in Snellville, Georgia. So he has that connection to Georgia. He used to live in Grayson, Georgia, which is in Gwinnett County. But then he moved to Riverside, California, and he moved in with her. It was her home. Yeah. Yep, he married her on January 28th, 2017. So only 6 weeks later, she was done with him. Karen Elaine Isaac, she was born in November 17th, 1963. Her mother is Irma Louise Alexander. Her father is Richard Sykes. She has a brother named Richard. Her ex-husband is Roderick L. Smith. Now, she was married before too, one time, for about 27 years. They were married in 1983 in Los Angeles. They have 4 live children, which I showed you in that previous video. Their children are Roderick, Lamar, Adam, Jennifer, Renee, and Joshua Andrew, born in the 80s. And there's an obituary of her, but I don't want to show that. Police Chief Jared said he had a criminal history, which dated back really, really far. So here are some of the anger issues. It says in some of his posts, he states he has anger issues and guns. He and his family appear to be super religious. Appear to be. So here's the filings here. The case number in 2013. Penal code, not guilty. Let's see. Cedric, this was dated May 27, 2013. It was filed. The violation date was May 27th. This was filed July 18th. And it says here, assault is an unlawful attempt. Let's see what he did here. Brandishing a weapon, Penal Code 417 and 415, disturbing the peace. Let's see. He was arrested in Kern County, California for battery on a person with a serious injury. So Lord have mercy. So he had another court case here, battery with a serious bodily injury, 1993. These charges were dropped. They probably didn't show up. And she said here, I see a lot of charges of domestic violence in Grayson and Gwinnett, Georgia. So it goes all the way back. His first, another divorce. So he's been married 3 times. He married Lisa Marie Anderson. They lived 1700 Pinehurst Drive in Grayson, Georgia. There was an uncontested divorce filed in 2011. So he wasn't married long. He got divorced. He was with his first wife in 2011. Uncontested divorce, and it was final in 2011. They were married in 1997. Okay. That would mean she's not the mother of his older children. That means Natalie, the mother of his children, when they were married in 85, right? So she had a restraining order. Let me go down. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. So I just want to go over this so you can see how extensive this goes back and how these people hide their histories and they don't tell you. These people don't change. They don't rehabilitate. They just don't. So anytime you see something like this in their history, just know it's let's see. Let's see, Grayson. So he had one for family violence. Let's see here. Restraining order, family violence. William F. Brunfield is a man. That person lived in Duluth. There's another one by Cheryl Charith. That's the next door neighbor. Now, I did a little research into this, and this person right here was the next door neighbor, Cheryl Charith. She filed a restraining order against him because they live at 1700. She lived 1690. That was the next door neighbor, and I'll tell you how I know that. Another order by Petrea S. Brumfield, another female, somebody in Duluth. Looks like he lost his house in Georgia to the banks in 2011. So this man didn't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it through. And he lost his house, so he needed to get with somebody. And he got with her. This teacher, this woman, she had her own home, and he moved in with her. She says there are other cases, but I don't think they belong to another Cedric. Now look at this. Hold on. So they were married January 28th, 2017. Not even a whole. So January 28th, January, February, March. So 6 weeks later, she left. They both have children and grandchildren. It says they were living in Karen's home at 1945 19452 Mount Waseth, Riverdale, California. Karen owned the home as an unmarried woman. It was listed for sale in 2006 for $575,000. It was previously owned by Karen and her ex-husband Rod, so she probably got that in the divorce settlement. So she was an accredited teacher in special education. Those are all her accreditations. But let me show you how this was his next door neighbor. There's a video of them getting married. Hold on, let me show you these pictures. See, I told you this is her right after. Look at her eyes. She knew that there was something wrong, guys. This is the video of them on their honeymoon. Her eyes are still bright, but Here she is moments before she married the crazy man. Her mother stated Karen left Cedric when she realized he had other intentions. Perhaps he wanted her money. Yep, because he was a broke fool. He didn't have anything. He didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it through. And I wouldn't recommend, if you're dating somebody, don't have them move in your house. I wish Karen had warned the entry officer at her school about him. So sad. And that's true. It says they attended Saddlebrook Church, and that's her walking down, getting married. Here's a picture of Karen with her loving family. It's so sad to see such love in a great family. They did seem like they had a great family. Mom, dad, daughter, son, spouse, and grandchildren. Wow. Just awful. Just awful. Yes, I post all of my underlying research and data. The purpose is so people know that the article is research and I'm only posting public information. She did a great job at doing this, but let me scroll down and show you how in a response, somebody responded. Unknown, April 11, 2017. Mary, thank you for posting this. I was a neighbor in Georgia that am listed in your article. So she's a neighbor that's listed in this actual post. He was a very disturbed individual and very violent. I always wanted vindication for the false claim he brought me in court for, and this article gave me closure. I have never been in jail or court for domestic issues until this man came into our life. I'm also a real estate broker and in real estate for over 35 years, never having anything on my record. This charge was on my record and I see it will publicly follow me. Thank you again. So this woman here, remember I told you it's the neighbor. Let me go all the way back up. He had these charges and it was from somebody that lived right next door. I told you it was a neighbor. He had problems with everyone, everywhere he went. This was not just anything new. Let me scroll back up. I hope y'all don't get dizzy, but let me scroll back up to go back to the, let me go and see where it was. 1690, it showed a petitioner that lived, let's see. it showed a petitioner. Okay. So she said he lived at 1700 Pinehurst View Drive in Grayson, Georgia, and the divorce was filed in 2011. Then there's restraining order of family violence. William H. Brumfield was the plaintiff. August 28th, 2008, another restraining order, Cheryl Sheriff. She was the next door neighbor, because see, it's 1690 Pinehurst View Drive, and he lives 1700. So I would have to go look up. She's the defendant. Cedric Anderson is the defendant, and it says Cheryl Sheriff is the plaintiff. So he might have accused her of domestic violence. Who knows? But she basically said she was the person listed in the complaint. So this man had multiple, I'm telling you, he was very disturbed, guys. And he had multiple issues with him. He just had multiple issues. And it's best, what I said to you guys before, and I mean it wholeheartedly, and I don't want to go on and on about this. If you date somebody and they're from another state, you have to do a background check in the other states too. And if you see any domestic violence, any battery with assault, even if the charges are dropped, don't get involved with that person, because a lot of times they get dropped because the people who are involved do not press charges or just go away or don't come to court. He was a disturbed person from the beginning. He had been married 3 times. She might have even known that. He was married in Los Angeles. He had a marriage in Georgia, and then he went back to Los Angeles and got with her and moved with her. He was and there's nothing wrong with the blue collar worker, but he probably wanted her money. He thought he hit the jackpot. Of course, they idolized you because she had her own house. So he probably had an apartment. He probably didn't have. Look, the bottom line is this. He was violent. His Facebook page revealed his violent background in nature. Women and ladies and gentlemen, get background checks on these people. Talk to family members. If you can't get in contact with family members, do the background check. Pay the money. And they're going to try to convince you that nothing happened. I just pushed her. I just did this. I just did that. It didn't happen like that. The bottom line is this. They're liars. And we know that. So the bottom line is that was the case. And he was blaming the family for the separation. This was the part. He was telling his friends, I never did anything to her. I was trying to tell her not to take sides with her family, and then I just touched her in the chest. But I did nothing to her. Then she turned around and said I choked her. He choked her. This woman had no reason to lie. And when he choked her, she probably never experienced anything like that. She got out, but she didn't tell anybody. And I'm just grateful to Mrs. Mary Cummins. I'm going to try to get in contact with her because she is an investigative reporter and she does some really good research. And I'm going to contact her to see how, I know some of this is public, but she can guide me as to where I can get this information. So now we have insight as to what happened. He had assaulted her and she left. And he actually threatened her to other people and was threatening the family. And this is a long history of narcissism, sociopathy. So ladies, if you ever come across women who have records, the person that I had got involved with had a record. I didn't know about it. But they kept telling me this ain't my first rodeo. And the person's significant other got in contact with me and told me the same thing. I was like, really? I didn't know that. But anyway, this is a tragic case, but it can show you how these people don't tell the truth. And this is the background story of what really happened. She was assaulted. Okay. And had she told somebody, maybe the things would have turned out different. But I just read the statistic that the most dangerous time for women or men who are leaving abusive relationships is when they leave and right after, because these people get so insulted and so enraged that you got to keep your head on swivel, guys. Keep your head on swivel. Call a domestic violence hotline. Do not take their threats Do not underestimate or take their threats, and think that they're joking. These people are sick. This is him laughing. They got married January 28th. No sooner than March, the date, let's see, March, what was it? Not even, it couldn't have been 6 weeks. Let's see. March, 72-day marriage. But after she moved out, the week of March 12th, like 6 weeks later. So she was being abused. But guys, I thank you so much for watching. I'm telling these stories so we can be aware, to bring awareness. If we don't place a face to it, or don't, we're not the only ones who have gone through this. And it affects many, many people. This was an intelligent, beautiful woman, but he tricked her. These people are tricksters. So they don't tell the truth about who they really are. They lie. They have multiple masks and multiple lives. Do the background check. If people can buy hair, bundles, lashes, do makeup, and do all this stuff, especially if you're going to bring people around your children, do a background check on these people. And if they said they've been in other states, do the background check in other states. And if this stuff comes up, guys, don't question them about it. Just leave them alone. Don't even ask them, well, I did a background check and this came up. Don't enrage these people. Just leave them alone. Just try to get away quietly. Change your number. Just stop being bothered with them, because these people are really dangerous. And this should show you that this woman was tricked. She didn't know. She didn't know. She had no clue. And I think she found out. She might have found out. I don't know. I'm thinking after he hit her or pushed her or whatever, or choked her, like the video that I did with that Seattle Seahawks gentleman. When somebody puts their hands around your neck, that means that they have the propensity to kill. I remember there was a young lady at the place that I was attending, religious organization, and she told me the guy had choked her out, but she was still with him. And I was like, She was like, I forgive him. You can forgive people, but the propensity to abuse you again is very strong. And the next time he might likely kill you. So guys, this is the background story of Karen Smith and Cedric Anderson. It's really interesting. He left a note. This was premeditated. He loaded up a gun. He shot at other people in a classroom. He wanted to just cause her torment. And that's why I tell you, these people come to kill, steal, and destroy. So guys, we got to look at these lessons, as tragic as they are, but we must learn from them. So if you are leaving, plan it. Don't say nothing. Don't do anything abrupt. Plan it out. Call those hotlines and plan it out. And if you have to go to work after that, you leave that person, you go and you make a plan, or tell your job, look, there's a domestic violence situation. I'm going to lay low from work for a little bit. Can you change my hours? Whatever that needs to be done, the jobs will understand. They will understand. So guys, thank you so much. God rest her soul. Karen Smith, a beautiful family. And we need to pray for this family as well. Her daughters, her grandchildren, and that young child that was also killed, and there was another child who was injured. We need to pray for them, guys. So guys, here's another one of the domestic violence videos that I wanted to show you. And though these things haven't happened recently, it shows you that their pattern. He started behaving irrationally, but I'm telling you, there was some signs before. He started degrading her and devaluing her. Once all he wanted to do was get married to her. That's all he wanted. And to be probably, and he probably thought she would stay after hitting. Nope. So guys, I hope that these videos are helping. That's my goal. The Most High has put it in my heart to get out here and talk about these things. And a lot of you may think like me talking about my story is TMI. I really don't care that it's TMI. This can hopefully save someone's life. Right? So I'm not concerned about what people think or, as far as my story and domestic violence. This is to help others and to help women. Men are involved too, but women, we have to have standards. Certain things we just should not be doing. We should not, and there's certain things we should not do. And these things that we should not do can be lifesavers, not only for us, but for our children. And these people, they lash out not only at the women, they lash out at the children too. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, do you think she knew, or did she just find out? But, she left after the first situation, but she didn't know his background. All right, guys, I love you guys. Like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you on the next upload of Can We Talk with Monique. Peace, y'all.